Let's jump right in. Welcome back, Focus Learners. Today, we are unpacking Chapter 6 of Ariel M. Sisney's book, Majesty in Monotony. And our focus for this explainer? Observation and orbit, the science of everything. Look, if you're wanting to grasp that grand, awe-inspiring cosmic perspective of where we actually stand in the universe, well, you're in exactly the right place. We're going to break down the actual mechanics of existence and look at how humanity interacts with this vast reality through the lens of science. So let's get started.
Okay, let's dive into this. We are the cosmos made conscious, and life is the means by which the universe understands itself. This quote from Brian Cox, man, it just perfectly frames the philosophical reality of our existence. I mean, really think about it for a second. Our bodies are made entirely of ancient stardust. The literal chemicals and elements firing in your brain right now, they were forged in the cores of exploding stars billions of years ago. And yet all that ancient material has somehow coalesced into you, a form that possesses the unique capacity to actually comprehend the cosmos. We aren't just, living in the universe. We are the universe, actively figuring itself out.
Now, to truly appreciate that connection, we have to wrap our heads around the sheer scale of reality. And that brings us to the number 40. The author points out that to really understand astrophysics, you've got to comprehend 40 orders of magnitude. That is a staggering scale. It goes all the way from 1 million billionth the size of an average human being, stretching all the way up to the 46 billion light years of the universe we can currently observe from Earth. It's almost too big to imagine, right? But what it means is that absolutely everything you learn, think, or feel is intricately attached to everything else across that massive cosmic web. But here's the question. How do we, as these relatively tiny human beings, manage to map out something 46 billion light years wide? Well, we have to zoom way down to the micro level of human ingenuity. You've probably heard this famous quote from Isaac Newton: "If I have seen further than others, it is by standing upon the shoulders of giants." And it's so true. Scientific progress relies entirely on the meticulous, cumulative work of past thinkers. The only reason we can even begin to understand the macroscopic universe today is because generations of people dedicated their lives to making really careful observations and then handed that data down to the next generation to build upon. And that brings us right to the core thesis of Chapter 6. What actually is science? The author argues, and heavily, that science is a verb. It is an ongoing, active process. It's absolutely not an authority or some dogmatic source of absolute facts that everyone should just blindly accept without question. In fact, just accepting a claim because science says so actually spits in the face of the method itself. Science is simply a continuous, rigorous process of repetitive data collection and observation. So let's break down the mechanics of how this process actually works in the real world. This is what grounds our lofty cosmic questions into practical reality. Step 1, you make an observation in nature. Step 2, you perform repetitive data collection over time. You're taking notes, you're tracking patterns. And then step 3, rigorous analysis. This is where you make predictions, and this is absolutely crucial, you have your peers test it and actively try to tell you why you are wrong. And you do this over and over again, thousands of times. That simple, repetitive process, that is exactly what eventually gives us refrigerators, computers, and space telescopes that can peer into the dawn of time. So, the crucial point is, observation eliminates guesswork. Think about it. Anyone can look at a single event and draw a million different wild conclusions based entirely on their own biases. But if you make a million rigorous, repeated observations, well, that naturally filters out the infinite human guesses until you are left with just one single, undeniable reality. A million observations leaves only one conclusion. And this actually leads to a major pet peeve highlighted in the source text regarding how we use certain vocabulary. We constantly misuse the word theory in everyday life. In science, a hypothesis is just your starting guess based on previous experience. But a scientific theory, that is not a guess at all. A theory is a comprehensive explanation supported by a vast body of evidence. It's the absolute highest form of understanding. As the author notes, this is exactly why evolution is a scientific theory, while the Garden of Eden remains a hypothesis. A theory represents the pinnacle of what we know to be true, backed up by thousands upon thousands of observations. I just love the example the author uses here to drive this point home. Because the moon is tidally locked to Earth, we only ever see one side of it. So theoretically, anyone could claim that a magical society of unicorns lives on the dark side of the moon. And without observation, you couldn't technically prove them wrong, right? You could literally start a whole religion based on moon unicorns. But once we apply measurement, once we actually build a rocket, send a satellite over there and look, we observe that it's really just a dry crust with extreme temperatures and, unfortunately, zero enchanted unicorns. Measurement grounds our wild imagination firmly in reality. And this brilliantly illustrates a really vital contrast. As we see in a lot of the political and economic discussions throughout the source material, human narratives are deeply flawed. Data can be manipulated, and human narratives can be manipulated even more. They're often politicized or driven by personal bias, wealth, or power. But on the flip side, the fundamental laws of nature, or God's laws depending on your framing, well, they operate universally. They are inherently followed with or without our consent. Nature honestly does not care about our political squabbles or what we believe. It just follows its own rules. And what those inherent natural laws reveal is a universe that is beautifully chaotic and in constant motion. Nothing is static. Stars are literally exploding right now to forge the very elements we're made of. New planets are actively forming from cosmic dust. You have never actually been in the exact same physical space twice, because the Earth is constantly spinning and falling around the Sun, all while our entire Milky Way galaxy is drifting on a collision course toward Andromeda. Change is just the undeniable nature of our world, and science is quite literally the only tool we have to accurately track it. Which brings us right back down to you and me. There is not a single thing that you can think, touch, or feel that isn't in some way attached to everything else in the cosmos. Despite how incredibly small we might feel against that backdrop of drifting galaxies, there's a profound intimacy to the science. Your human neurology, your ability to even think abstract thoughts, your biology, it is all powered by the exact same elements found across this constantly expanding universe. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is that it serves as the ultimate philosophical climax of our explainer today. We are not separate from the universe. We weren't just placed into it. We are the universe, acting out its own nature. Through the scientific method, humanity is simply nature growing eyes, building telescopes, developing a mind, and finally looking back at itself in wonder. Let's move to and see how this builds into your next steps. If you found this breakdown insightful, I highly encourage you to continue your cosmic journey. Please go ahead and watch the next explainer in the Majesty in Monotony playlist. You can also check out the link right below to get a copy of the book for yourself or for your students. And hey, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel for more creative AI updates. Also, super important, as we utilize AI to structure these amazing concepts, if you happen to spot any hallucinations or weird errors in the content, share your feedback in the comments. It really helps train the broader YouTube and Google algorithms so we can make these tools even better for everyone. So, I want to leave you with this final, lingering thought. If we really are the universe observing itself, what will you choose to observe next? Keep your curiosity sharp, apply the rigor of repetitive observation to your own life, and I will see you in the next explainer.